Good morning, students. Today we will study about how do organisms reproduce. So here, reproduction. Production of a new organism from existing organism is known as reproduction. Reproduction is not important for our survival, but still we count it in a life process because it is very important for the continuation of species. So, reproduction is very important for maintaining existence of species in the ecosystem. Okay? DNA. If body designs are similar, then blueprints for these designs should be similar. The DNA in the cell nucleus is the information source for this body design. Here DNA means deoxyribonucleic acid. This DNA copies itself and copied DNA forms the similar body design of the new organism. DNA copying process is done in our body by some chemical reactions. That means copying of DNA will have some variations, but they do not lead to drastic changes. These variations are also important for our life. Now, the variation. Variation is useful for the survival of species at the time of drastic change in the ecosystem. For example, in a pond ecosystem, there are some fishes. In a pond ecosystem, there are some fishes are living. There is no variation. If due to global warming, the temperature of the water increases, that fishes can't able to adapt to that environment and they will die. If in this case any one of the fish has some variations that it can adapt to high temperature, then that fish will survive in the pond. And the same way, in the case of humans, if any drastic changes in the environment, the human should adapt for that situations. For this adaptation, variation are very important. Now, asexual mode of reproduction. There are three type of asexual mode of reproduction. They are fission, fragmentation, and regeneration. Fission is a splitting of unicellular organisms into two or more daughter cells. For example, amoeba, paramecium, euglena. Second one is fragmentation, breaking up of simple multicellular organism into two or more pieces is called as fragmentation. For example, Spirogyra. And the third one is regeneration. Some fully differentiated organisms give rise to new organisms from their body parts. For example, planaria. Asexual reproduction. Here, offsprings are arise from a single organism without any fusion of gametes. Splitting of unicellular organism into two or more daughter cells is called as fission. Here you can see the fission reaction. Then fragmentation, breaking up of simple multicellular organism into two or more pieces is called as fragmentation. Then you can see the fragmentation process. Regeneration. Some fully differentiated organisms give rise to new organism from their body parts is called as regeneration. For example, planaria. Then It is not the same as reproduction since they depend on being cut up to reproduce. Then, budding. It is a process of reproduction through buds. For example, hydra, yeast, etc. It is process where the buds will develop into a new species. So example is hydra and yeast. Last one is vegetative propagation. A new organism in obtained from the non-reproductive parts of the plant. For example, bryophyllum. It reproduces by its non-reproductive organs because its reproductive organs are damaged. That's why bryophyllum reproduce by vegetative propagation. Spore formation. There are some multicellular organisms in which parent forms many microscopic reproductive units known as spores. When the spores case bursts, spores are released in the air. They germinate where they land. So these kind of organisms can reproduce in any cases. For example, rhizopus. So this is all about the asexual mode of reproduction.